Hello, my name is Karen and I am a registered dietitian in the children's program at LAMP. Today I would like to share one of my favorite family recipes called a Budda Bowl. Now there are many different forms of a Budda Bowl, but essentially a Budda Bowl tends to be vegetarian and it's about balancing your bowl filled with lots of wholesome, nutritious, tasty ingredients. One of the things I love about Budda Bowls is that you can simply look at your pantry, your fridge, your freezer at home, and use the Canada's Food Guide to inspire you of the different ingredients that you can put in your own Budda Bowl. So with the Canada's Food Guide, we want to aim for half of our bowl loaded with lots of vegetables or fruit, a quarter of our Budda Bowl with lots of those protein, iron-rich foods, and the remaining part of the bowl, a quarter with lots of whole grains. So today I put together a variety of lovely wholesome ingredients that we are going to use for our Budda Bowl. Typically the bottom of the Budda Bowl, the bottom layer, is some type of whole grain. And so today I am using quinoa. For those of you who aren't familiar with quinoa, it is often referred to as a superfood. It's a nutrition powerhouse packed with lots of protein, iron, fiber, etc. Quinoa is found in all the grocery stores, or you can buy it in a bulk food store. There are different colors of quinoa, so this would be the white quinoa. You can buy red and black quinoa, or my personal favorite is the tricolor quinoa. So you get a nice mixture of the white, the red, and the black quinoa. From a nutrition point of view, both the white, red, and black quinoa all have similar amount of protein, iron, fiber. But the tricolor one looks so very pretty as a side dish or as in a salad. Quinoa is actually a seed, so it is very high in protein, which helps us feel very full at meals. But you cook it the exact same way as rice. So typically you would have 1 part dry quinoa to 2 parts water. So for instance, 1 cup of dry quinoa, 2 cups of water, put it in a pot, bring it to a boil, and then once it reaches a boil, you turn down to a simmer and put a lid on the pot. It typically takes about 12 to 15 minutes to cook. And then as it cooks and it expands into a lovely mixture there. So quinoa is going to be the base, the whole grain base for our Budda Bowl. Next comes loading up lots and lots of vegetables. So one of the vegetables that, in my opinion, is really underused is beets. Beets are always available year-round. You can buy them individually, or you can often buy a whole bag of beets for under $3. So you get a lot of good nutrition for a very little amount of money. So to roast my beets, I peeled my beets, cut them into small cubes, about a 1/2 inch cubes, put them in a bowl and I tossed them with oil. Then I laid the cubes of beets on a baking sheet. A little trick I like to use is always lining my baking sheets with some parchment paper or tin foil, so it makes the cleanup super easy. You just throw out the piece of paper afterwards and you don't need to scrub your pan. So I laid my beet cubes on the pan, drizzled with a bit of olive oil, and then popped it into an oven at 425 degrees. In total, beets take about a ½ an hour to roast. But what I tend to do is I set the timer for every 10 minutes because the beets that are on the outer part of the tray tend to roast faster than the ones on the inside. So every 10 minutes I'll pull the pan out of the oven, use a spoon and just sort of move the beets around so that way they all roast so at the same, to the same degree. I also do the same roasting for the sweet potatoes. So again, sweet potatoes are a nutrition powerhouse, really high in fiber, beta carotene, and are a vegetable that a lot of babies and children enjoy. So with the sweet potatoes, again, I peeled the sweet potato, cut into the small cubes, spread it out on my baking sheet, drizzled with a bit of olive oil, and then roasted The sweet potatoes take a little bit less time than the beets, so they roasted in about 15 minutes. Just to add a little bit of flavor to the sweet potato, I also used 1 small onion. Again, just peeled the onion, cut it into wedges, and laid it on top of the sweet potato. Okay. Finally, I have some roasted kale. That's going to be part of our Budda bowl. So kale is often referred to also as a superfood. So it's a dark green leafy vegetable that's so high in folic acid, in iron, fiber. I bought a humongous bunch of kale this week for under $3. So again, you get a lot of nutrition for your food dollar. To prepare the kale, you typically remove the green leafy parts from the stem. This is sometimes referred to as the rib of the kale. So I washed the kale, I cut the green leafy part away from the rib, just broke the kale into small pieces, and this is a great activity that your younger children can do, just washing the kale and breaking it into small pieces. A great way, again, getting your children involved in the kitchen. Once I had all my small pieces of kale, I can toss it lightly with a bit of olive oil and roast it in the oven for about 5 minutes. So there I have all my grains and my yummy vegetables. Now to top off the Budda bowl, I just have some toasted pecans here. You could use whatever type of nuts you have at home. Almonds, walnuts would be delicious. So let's start building our bowl. So again, this is a great activity for your children. Have you ever noticed that your kids are more likely to eat the food if they help create it? So if you lay out all the different ingredients, everyone in your household can come and make their own Budda bowl the way they like it. I love all of these, so I am going to load on my quinoa at the bottom of my bowl. Okay, and I'm going to start piling on the vegetables. So sometimes with Budda bowls, people like to put the ingredients, vegetables, in separate areas. For me, I like to kind of layer it up, so every mouthful has that nice variety of the different vegetables. So I put my beets in the bowl. I'm now adding my sweet potatoes. Okay. Look how colorful that is with the vibrant purple beets and the nice bright orange sweet potato. I'm going to sprinkle on my kale. Okay. And a smaller spoon here to top it up with the nuts. So the nuts are certainly optional, but they add a nice protein to your dish, and also a contrast. They've got that nice crunch. So you have the nice soft quinoa, the soft roasted vegetables, and then a little bit of a crunch with the nuts. Now this Budda bowl is absolutely delicious, just like this. But to top it off, a dressing is amazing. So I'm going to show you how to make a dressing. You can certainly use, if you have any creamy dressing at home, a ranch or a Caesar dressing. What I would suggest is just adding a little bit of water to the creamy dressing, so you're sort of lightly drizzling it on top as opposed to coating it. But I'm going to show you a very simple recipe here that is super tasty on my Budda bowl. So I'm going to start off with a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Just put it in a bowl here. Then I'm using 1 tablespoon of white balsamic vinegar. White balsamic vinegar is a lighter color than traditional balsamic vinegar and a slightly sort of less strong flavor. But you could use any vinegar that you have at home. Apple cider vinegar, white wine vinegar would taste amazing in this. Next, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Now I always look for the low-fat mayonnaise just to reduce the fat in my dressing. There we go. Make sure I get all that yummy mayonnaise. Next, we're going to add on our flavors. We've got our base here, the olive oil, the vinegar, and mayonnaise. Now we're adding some lemon juice. So this is 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. To contrast the acid from the vinegar and the lemon juice, we're adding a little bit of honey. So this is 2 teaspoons of honey or maple syrup. Again, this is a great activity that you can do with your children. So this is a great way of teaching math to your older children, teaching them how to use measuring spoons, etc. Adding 1 clove of garlic. Okay. And so this is something your older children can do. You can teach them about different measurements. I'm adding 1 teaspoon now of Dijon mustard. So you can, I hope you can imagine all the different flavors here. You get a nice contrast between the mustard, the maple syrup, and the garlic. You can add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. Okay. And I'm just going to take my whisk. Okay. Here, make sure I get all the mayonnaise. Whisk this up. Okay, very, very quick. This dressing will last in your fridge for about 3 or 4 days. You can use it just on your regular salad. Absolutely delicious on this Budda bowl. Okay. So you see how quickly that whisks together. Now I've got a lovely, really flavorful dressing. And I'm just going to take my spoon, take some of that wonderful, flavorful dressing and just drizzle it on top of my Budda bowl. Okay. So there you go. Look at all those wonderful colors there. This is a bowl that's balanced perfectly with the whole grain in the bottom, with the quinoa, lots of vegetables, those wonderful roasted beets, roasted sweet potato, onions, kale, topped with some nice crunchy nuts, and then our light drizzle on top. So I hope you have a chance to try this recipe, or it inspires you to, again, use the Canada's Food Guide, look at your pantry, in your fridge, in your freezer, and think about how you could build your own Budda bowls. I guarantee your family will enjoy it. Bye for now.